Sometimes the most powerful ideas come in really short packages.
Definitely.
Today we're doing a deep dive into a very concise piece, a short verse from the Learning English Language YouTube channel.
Okay.
We go through this. Conflict will arise, conflict will cease. Leaders will again forge alliance in peace. The old woman will mourn that beloved son is gone. The war actors will mediate peace treaty again. The maiden will wait anxious for her mate in battle, for the friend will die in his associate. The kids will wail for brave father's soul. The curtain of war will once more fall. The poor in pain will question the sane. How did you negotiate the price of land?
Wow. Yeah, packs a punch.
Right. So our mission really is to unpack this, to look at that cyclical nature of conflict and peace it lays out.
And the human experiences inside that cycle. It's all there.
Exactly. So that first line, conflict will arise, conflict will cease.
It hits you immediately, doesn't it? Just a fundamental observation.
Yeah, like a constant rhythm of history. It happens, it stops, it happens again.
It's just there. An inevitable part of, well, human interaction, it seems.
And then right after that, leaders will, again, forge alliance in peace.
A rebuilding phase.
It points to that recurring need, diplomacy, trying to find common ground after everything falls apart.
You see it constantly, leaders coming together, trying to build something new.
But is it always stable? That's the question it hints at, maybe.
Well, yeah, these alliances, they aim for peace, sure, but often the old problems, they're still simmering underneath.
Right. Or new power dynamics create new tensions.
Exactly. So the peace itself might just be sowing seeds for the next conflict.
A temporary pause, perhaps. And it pivots hard.
It does, to the personal.
Yeah.
The old woman will mourn that beloved son is gone. The kids will wail for brave father's soul.
That really brings the cost home, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's not abstract anymore.
No, it's individual lives, real grief, real loss, shattered families. That's the constant human price tag on this cycle.
And that grief is so powerful, you'd think it would stop the cycle.
Sometimes maybe it fuels the desire for peace, but the poem seems to suggest the larger pattern. It persists.
Because then we get, the war actors will mediate peace treaty again.
Yeah, that's a really complex line. The same people involved in the fighting
Are the ones sitting down to write the peace terms.
Right. What kind of peace does that lead to? Does it really address the root causes?
This is just, a rearrangement, a pause based on who's got the upper hand now.
It makes you wonder about how genuine, how lasting that resolution can actually be.
Then there's that other personal image. The maiden will wait anxious for her mate in battle, for to friend will dine as associate.
Yeah. That juxtaposition, the intense personal anxiety of war.
Side by side with this eventual return to, normalcy, socializing again, even with former enemies maybe.
Associate is an interesting word there. Not quite friend again, perhaps. Things change.
True. But it shows how, life does go on. People reconnect, hostilities fade on a personal level, at least for a time.
But only for a time, it seems. Because then,
the curtain of war will once more fall.
Such a strong metaphor, like a play.
Yeah. Not an ending, just an intermission before the next act starts.
It implies this isn't truly over. The potential for conflict is always there, just waiting off stage.
Suggests it's inherent somehow.
Perhaps. And then the final lines really bring in another dimension.
The poor in pain will question the sane. How did you negotiate the price of land?
Yeah, this brings in the social and economic fallout. Who suffers most?
Right, the people who often have the least power, the least say. Conflict hits them hardest.
And they're left questioning the justifications, the deals made by the leaders, the sane, perhaps.
The price of land is that literal, or a metaphor for all the costs, the compromises.
Could be both. It highlights that deep unfairness, the lingering resentment and questions about justice after the fighting stops. Whose piece is it, anyway?
So wrapping it all up, this incredibly short verse just paints this vivid picture of the whole cycle.
Conflict, attempts at peace, the human cost, the mediators, the anxieties, the temporary return to normal.
And then the shadow of it returning, plus those deep questions about fairness and cost from those left behind.
It's a really poignant summary of, maybe a fundamental pattern in human affairs. The hope for peace constantly bumping up against whatever it is that drives conflict.
It leaves you thinking, doesn't it? As you consider this, think about what forces you see driving these cycles in the world.
And maybe, just maybe, consider what role any individual plays. Are we just part of the pattern, or is there a way to actually, break it?
Something to definitely carry with you.